Greetings from the Philippines to the world. We are on Facebook, live on Eagle News and Net25 TV, and also on our streaming site, eaglenewslive.com. Watch us on our YouTube channel at Net25 TV. I am Cesar Vallejos. Welcome to Open for Business. Join me discover the latest news and information in business around the world. Stay ahead of the curve from vision to action. COVID-19 had a profound impact on real estate markets all over the world, including the Philippines. However, this might rebound in 2021. What are the factors that will drive demand in the property market this year? To discuss the outlook for 2021, we have with us the CEO of a full-service real estate consultancy and property investment strategy firm engaged in project leasing, tenant solutions, and property sale and acquisition. Ms. Sheila Lobian will join us in a bit to discuss the Philippine real estate outlook. Stay with us.
Turuan din natin ang mga bata ng tamang paghugas ng mga kamay. Basain ang kamay ng tubig at lagyan ng sabon. Kuskusin ang iyong mga palad. Gayon din ang pagitan ng mga daliri. Pati na ang likod ng mga palad at daliri. Ganon din ang iyong hinlalaki. Kasama ang mga dulo ng iyong mga daliri. Pagkatapos ay iyong kalapulsuhan. Gawin ito ng kahit 20 segundo. Pagkatapos ay banlawan ng tubig at patuyuin.
Open for Business is back, and with me is the Chief Executive Officer of the Lobian Realty Group, Ms. Sheila Lobian. She's also the Chairperson of the Women in Business Committee of the European Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines. How are you, Ms. Sheila?
I'm very good, brother. Thank you. Always a pleasure to be part of your show. And it's almost end of the year, so I'm always looking forward to this. Thank you for having me.
Yes, the last time we talked here in Open for Business, we really talked about the impact of the eruption of Taal. I think that was
Early Jan.
early January, and here we are again.
Closing the year na, diba?
Crisis. Diba? Closing, where you are with Open for Business during the opening year, and you're here at the closing of the year. But interestingly enough, Ms. Sheila, we talked about crisis. We started with the impact of the eruption of the Taal volcano, and here we are again talking about another crisis. And this is even worse because this is pandemic. But before
Who would have thought, right? When
Yes.
we had that show early in, was it Jan or Feb? Right after the Taal, right?
Yes, and there's a lot of developments already. The real estate industry is definitely one of the most affected sectors in Philippine business. Maybe let's talk about because we know that with the real estate, it's really necessary that you look at the impact of not only the real estate here in the Philippines, but also you follow what's happening around the world. Ms. Sheila, so far in your research, what's happening with the global outbreak? How can you describe and the impact of this crisis to the countries that we are following in the real estate business, both in major countries and Asian countries, Miss Sheila?
Mhm. Well, as you know, the global market is not that rosy right now. Um, the economists are saying easily 5% down in the GDP of the whole world. And that's a lot. Here in Asia alone, everyone's not expected and are ready, of course, for the decline in the growth. No growth at all. Philippines is one of them. We've seen that in the last how many quarters. The pandemic, of course, this is a combination of economic and health crisis, and therefore a lot of people around the world, they're really suffering, and we feel that here in the Philippines, more so here in our country. But I always say that we're very resilient. The Philippine real estate market is also very resilient, that despite all these, we are able to survive. And in fact, if we will discuss further, a lot of economic indicators are already showing that by next year, 2021, 12 months, down the road, a lot of positive pointers are already out there. So that's, I always look at the positive side. Yes, we feel this. There is this challenges at the moment, but somehow you can see the light at the end of the tunnel already. And the vaccine, we've been hearing about it. There are already news about the coming of the vaccine, which I hope will come next year here in the Philippines. And I think that would make a lot of difference, not just in the real estate market, but in different sectors also here in the Philippines.
Yeah, Miss Sheila, before the pandemic, and in the talks, in the economic outlook talks that you've been attending, and I've been following your talks also as thought leader, you've been boasting about how resilient the economy is, the good performance of the Philippine economy. So far, in terms of figures, Miss Sheila, we know that definitely it was, there's a huge impact of the COVID-19 with our economic growth. So far, in terms of numbers, how has COVID-19 really impacted on the Philippine economy?
So for us in the real estate market, there are key things that we look and we always monitor. So number one, of course, the growth in the office sector. Obviously, when there's no expansion, then that means jobs are also not being created, right? And because of the work from home, the social distancing, the demand in the office market has been somehow stagnant, no? And then the exit of this Chinese POGO market also making several buildings in CBD areas and condos in the metro, vacant at the moment. But the good news is the outsourcing industry, the IT BPM industry, the outsourcing, they're still growing somehow, not at a very high pace, but at least they are growing and they're expected to grow at least in the next few years. That's good for us. And I think it's a natural thing because as countries all over the world, are experiencing this economic challenges, they will look for ways to cut on cost. And the best way to do that is to outsource none of their core work. And these are the things that we get. We are one of the first thing that they'll think of when they want to outsource something. The Philippines is already in the world stage. And I've been, saying this how many times that when there are problems in the US or in Europe and they start to cut on costs, that's the time that, outsourcing and this BPO business are growing here in the country. Because we do that, we're very good in those things. So aside from us, of course, there's India for higher value work. But when it comes to voice, we're already the number one. Non-voice, these are the IT, engineering work, architectural, and the higher value work. We already have that, and we're second when it comes to Well, after India, we're second. It's already a big industry, more than what, almost 24, 27. I've forgotten the exact figure, but it's at that level already in billions of dollars. So it's one of the biggest pillars of the Philippine economy.
Now, Miss Sheila, you talked about, of course, the office market. And
Yes.
with the many things that's happening, how COVID-19, how the global pandemic has affected businesses, there were talks, there were reports, and there were a lot of observations that the new normal will not uh, necessitate or require offices. And that's a big factor also to consider. As a matter of fact, I think some of the major digital companies already are imposing or enforcing work from home initiatives. How is this scenario affecting your industry? And since here in the Philippines, even before the pandemic, the office market has been a strong market for you, as you have been, that's been your life for several decades. But how is it affecting now? And do you think this will still recover? And also, there are initiatives also from various companies to make work from home a permanent one. What are your initiatives, options, and observations to somehow address, this kind of market scenario?
Okay, very good question, brother. So the work from home, yes, it is implemented. It is here right now. However, we all know this, that the Philippines, we do have a lot of infrastructure challenges. And what I mean by that is our internet connection is still not that strong. And there are some places, even in exclusive villages, that the internet is still lacking or not sufficient enough. So all the more for the BPO, the outsourcing employees, and some of them, they don't even have a conducive place wherein they can really focus on work. And that's why the BPO industry, they run, they have this, they monitor the work and their productivity. And during the lockdown, from March to I think April, of course, the work from home was really at a very high percentage. However, after 6 months, they were able to progress, and their productivity rate is already high. Now, of course, there are still people working from home, but their people working in the office is already increasing. So they're able to have this balance already. There are some critical works also that can't be done at home. So to answer your question whether the office market will really die, I don't think so. It's far from happening here in the Philippines unless, of course, the Build project will address all the issues that we have, because in Metro Manila alone, the internet capacity is not that good yet. So that will allow everyone to just be at home and continue working there. Plus, not everyone has the place to be really quiet at home and work and have no distraction. Your husband, your kids, your wife will not go around and disturb you while working. I don't think that's possible for every Filipino, for every BPO worker. So it's going to be a balance of people working from home and then people working in the office. Now, to also give a quick explanation on that, the office market is quite steady. There was a decline, of course, in terms of new demand, but the office as it is, it's still there. The landlords are still enjoying the rental from the tenants because contracts are more or less 3 to 5 years. So when it happened in March, they were already in a contract of at least 3 years. So they can't just terminate and move out, right? So these landlords are protected somehow for at least a minimum of 3 years. So if there will be vacancy or renewal or move out, it's going to be after that. So right now, it's just an adjustment between the building owners and then the tenant. some landlords are giving discounts, rental holiday during the lockdown. But after that, it's like business as usual. And for those who, of course, can't survive, they just had to terminate the contract. But that's not a lot. So
Just a follow-up
the thing
question
is,
on
it's still
there. Yeah,
continuing.
just a follow-up question, Miss Sheila,
Yes.
on this relationship between the building owners and the tenants. You said that there are some sort of not necessarily incentives, but there are some arrangements that were done between the two of them to, because both sides, felt the need for help. And during the COVID-19, especially during the lockdowns,
Yes.
we knew that cash is really king, and there was no cash
Yes.
during that time. So, can you
No movement, no cash, of course.
Can you cite these initiatives wherein somehow the real estate industry also, help each other? You were mentioning some initiatives where both the tenants and building owners agreed on a certain arrangement. What are these, and so far, what's the impact to the business, and especially to you as one of the leaders in the real estate industry?
Well, the office market, case to case basis, depending on your, let's say, if you're a tenant, your relationship with the landlord, they can give you rental holidays or rental discounts. So it's really up to them. It's at the discretion of course, the building owners or the landlord. But in general, big developers easily gave half month rent free or rental holidays to the retail tenants, because obviously no one will go out, eat outside, shop during those times, right? But after that, they gave incentives as to how much, as to how low, how big the discounts that they have given. These are all confidential, no, and we can't like just give the exact amount. But many of them have, of course, extended help to the tenant so that they can survive and they can continue with the lease. Now, the retail market, the resto business, the hotels, the tourism, those are the heavily hit market because no one will travel, no one will go out, and that's simple in economy, right? When there's no movement, then market will not also people will not spend and there's no money that will flow in the market. So, but now that there's movement, people are slowly going out. You can see that it's getting more and more active. Restaurants are getting people inside. It's not like a ghost town when you go to the malls, shopping center. So much better compared to 4, 5 months ago. And traffic is back. Well, not the pre-pandemic level yet, but you can already feel it that there are people going out. People are starting to go to work every day. There are some industries and sectors who are now asking, and well, not really asking, demanding their people to just report every day at work. So it's somehow back to, well, not really normal, but business as usual, trying to manage health and the economy at the same time. So it's a balance of both.
Michelle, you also mentioned about the stability of the BPO as a key driver, di ba, in the real estate business. And it is true that during the pandemic, a lot of people were online, a lot of people, and I'm sure during that time, the BPO, especially in the support business, specifically in the e-commerce sector, were doing their jobs 24/7. So, sa palagay mo, Miss Sheila, was there also a shift in terms of their business model, in terms of the demands of different countries? And as you mentioned, since the BPO is a major driver in the Philippine real estate, has there been some changes or developments as to BPO, specifically the ones handling e-commerce business?
Oh, the e-commerce. That's a That's a bright spot. It's a good sector actually. If you look at the whole real estate market right now, it's the warehousing, the logistics market. They are the ones that are thriving simply because people are buying things online, forced to buy things online. You don't want to go out. You want to limit your exposure outside, contactless as much as possible. And that's why the logistics industry, the logistics market is one of the brightest industries right now, and it is expected to be what, a 1 trillion peso market in the next 3 years. So there's a lot of room for growth there. The e-commerce industry here in the Philippines is also expected to be what, a billion, I don't know how many billions in dollars by what, 5 years down the road, because we have a very young population. People are somehow now used to buy things online. I all of a sudden learned how to order everything online, from foods to plants, right? You can find everything
Sure,
online now.
plantita.
So yes, so that's I think the beauty of this thing. People are now more into online banking, purchasing things online, and the e-commerce logistics market. They're benefiting. They're enjoying the growth in their industry right now because of that.
Now, Miss Sheila, a lot of people say that during this pandemic, please confirm this. During this pandemic, where demand is really low, some people say that this is the best time, or the few months before this, that was the best time to invest, buy properties, get new contracts. Was it really lower? Are the rates really lower? By how much? And is it really good to continuously invest now at this time, because you get cheaper or more affordable deals compared to waiting for next year, where prices may continue to go up?
Right now, I would say there are a lot of flexible owners out there. So cash is king. And when there's crisis, of course, when you have cash, you can ask for the best discount. And there are many willing sellers. So and the real estate market is always one of the safest place to put your money, because as I've said so many times, land will always be there. And it's part of the basic human needs, no? Yung food, shelter, education, shelter, house, real estate, condo, it's there. So you will never go wrong by purchasing a property, a land, a house, a condo. It will stay no matter what. You can give it to your children. And that's why all the billionaires here in the Philippines, the Taipans, they're into the real estate market, because there is always a good opportunity in this market. So this is the best time to hunt if you want to look for a house. House and lot in the last how many months have gone up, because people have realized that when there's a pandemic and you're locked down, you'll go crazy if you're in a 20 square meter condo and you can't even go out and use the swimming pool, the facilities, right? So after that, a lot of Filipinos, those who have the money, they started looking at bigger condominiums if they have the money, or move out, go to the southern part of town or northern part of town, as far as Bulacan, and then south, Laguna, Cavite, Batangas area, to buy their house and lot, because at least during lockdown you can still go out and see the garden and see the sunshine. So it's different. So there is an upbeat, and the BSP also have shared that they've seen an increase in the last third quarter. And the increases came from single detached houses, and of course, somehow higher end condominium. So the house and the lot market will always be there. So if your question is whether it's a good time or bad time to buy, it's always a good time to buy a property and invest in the real estate market, especially now if you have a lot of cash. It's the best time to canvas and look for properties that you can acquire.
Wow, that's interesting, Miss Sheila. Now, before we go into a break, I have one more question. The pandemic has transformed a lot of business models, business processes, and of course, you yourself in the real estate business, and even us with media, when we deal now with our clients, some offices do not allow, still a lot of people going into their buildings, but they prefer online meetings like this. In your case, in the real estate industry, is there also transformation in terms of digitalization? Like, of course, the typical way is, buying a property is you go out, what's your term there? You do a field trip or something. In this case, do you now have some sort of an online tripping wherein you showcase properties visually via online? What are the new innovations that this pandemic has brought to the real estate industry?
Well, this pandemic, as I have shared earlier, has really pushed digitalization forward, not just here in the Philippines, but all over the world. And in all industries, people now are really going digital. There is an aspect there that they really have to do digital, go online. And the real estate market, as you have mentioned, yes, you can do that. You can do a tour now online. You can show a property online. But people here, Filipinos, and I think in other countries as well, they will not buy a major property unless they have seen it. So when you're buying a property in millions of peso, you have to see it. You have to go there. You have to smell. You have to feel the area. And I don't think that will go away. Yes, you can support initial information by sending them something digital, a video of the place, a video of the area. But at the end of the day, they will still go at least once, go check it before they sign and give you the check, right? So it's a combination of both. You have to have that digital aspect in your business, but the human element will always be there. And property is a hard asset, and it's a big, investment, and you can't just allow yourself to buy something by just looking at the video, right? So I would go out and still meet people. Right now we are doing that. We can't just stay in the office and just send videos to our clients.
Well, you sound like there's no pandemic, Miss Sheila.
We have to adjust
learn
and
more
adapt.
about the market outlook on residential, logistics, tourism, and hospitality when open for business returns. We still have Ms. Sheila Lobian, Chief Executive Officer of Lobian Realty Group, open for business. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced, eagle news, because we live in interesting times.
Open for Business is back, and still with me is Ms. Sheila Lobian, the Chief Executive Officer of LRG or Lobian Realty Group. Ms. Sheila, there's also other developments that's happening not only in Metro Manila but in the provincial areas, and one of the key drivers of growth, as you mentioned even before during our interviews in the past, was the tourism and hospitality. Definitely with the pandemic, apektado na naman ito because even travels were put on a halt. And now, even if it's picking up, there's a lot of health and safety protocols that are happening. Before, when you go out of the country and when you come back, you really have to, proceed or undergo a lot of health and safety protocols to ensure the safety and avoid the spread of the virus. What are your thoughts on the developments in the provincial areas and also in the tourism and hospitality sector?
Mhm. Well, the tourism hospitality sector, together with the retail market, as I have shared, they are heavily hit because this pandemic, of course, this allowed movement in the market. And when there's no movement, of course, the economy will not flourish, right? People are, of course, scared to go out and travel just for leisure. You don't even want to get out of your house. So why book a hotel? Why book your next vacation, right? So the main thing right now is safety. The things that are essential and critical to people are the things that will matter in the next few months. So the travel, tourism, hotel, retail, they're somehow at the back seat. And the tourism industry, the hotel industry, they are just surviving at the moment. So many hotels are just offering their facilities as a what a place for quarantine. Some are repurposing their rooms, making it as a temporary office for some BPO companies. And if you need a space, they will just give it to you for a temporary office solution, because the social distancing also will not allow you to utilize your office 100%. So if you want your people to go to work and you can put them in your current office, then you can rent a temporary office. So there is also utilization in the instant offices and the hotel. So they have repurposed some of their assets just to have income during this time, right? When traveling is still not that allowed. So we can't have, foreigners not coming in. So really the hotels are experiencing a lot of course, this economic turmoil right now. But there was a survey run by the Department of Tourism, I think a couple of months ago, and many Filipinos are already willing to travel. And they said more than half of the people who took the survey said they will really do so in the next 6 months. But I don't think it will be back to pre-pandemic stage until, of course, the vaccine is there and people have the confidence and not scared anymore to go out and travel. But at the moment, they are just really surviving. Now, the good news is the provincial office market. It's one way to pandemic-proof operation, and so many
Yeah,
companies have yeah.
before you
Yes, ma'am.
proceed, Miss Sheila, what we noticed during the pandemic, of course, is that people wanted to go back to their provinces, and
Yes.
there is also a program by the government na Balik Probinsya.
Balik
So,
probinsya.
and then when they go there, they realize that they would just have to establish their roots there, re-establish their roots, and come up with their own businesses. With our show Unlad Kaagapay sa Hanap Buhay, it's an agri show, and people are wanted to just invest their businesses, creating their own businesses right in their own provinces. So is there what is your sense of people going back to their provinces, and the activities being done in the provinces on a permanent basis? Kasi ngayon, di ba sinasabi natin nung una, it's Metro Manila centric. But as you mentioned, di ba,
Yes.
parang there's a lot of growth in the regional areas. Do you think the pandemic has really resulted to more investments and in real estate in the in the provinces and in the regions?
Yeah, that's correct. Well, the government, aside from the government, of course, they've been pushing for this balik probinsya and pushing urbanization outside Metro Manila ever since that was part of the big plan. But we need the build project to also happen alongside this push to the provinces, right? Because these big companies, these big organizations will only invest in the provincial area when, of course, there is talent, number one. They can hire Filipinos, locals, who can do the work that they need to be done. So aside from Metro Manila, we already have Cebu, which is very big right now, and other parts of the Visayas, near Metro Manila, Pampanga, Clark, it's booming right now. So there are several provincial areas now that we can actually call a metro city already, right? And even the BPO, the outsourcing industries, they have identified provinces that they will actually develop and will move and will expand to, because there are infrastructure in place, real estate investment in place, meaning there are offices, hotel, malls, condominiums, and hotels that they can use. So aside from the fact that, of course, the number one consideration for these big companies to go to the provincial area is the talent. So when, of course, there is talent, the other items should follow, the infrastructure, and the government has to support that. And that's why we really have to push the Build, Build, Build project, because it will connect Metro Manila into the other provincial parts of town. So anything that is near Metro right now is booming. The nearest, let's say here in the Metro, Cavite, Laguna, there are a lot of warehousing, industrial sites there. And then in the northern part of town, Bulacan, Pampanga, Clark. So these areas alone are booming. And then if you go north or south, Cebu and other parts of the Visayas. So all the way from Baguio down to Cagayan de Oro, there are a lot of mixed-use township developments wherein everything is in one pocket of space. You live, work, and play there. And that's what we will see. It's not a trend. It's happening all over the world, in the first world country. And it's happening here. And all the more we appreciate that, because you realize that when there is this pandemic crisis, right, it's best that everything is walking distance. You have the hospital there, the hotel there, the office, the mall, everything that you need is in one area. And it's good to have that. And that's the beauty of having this developments in provincial areas all over the Philippines. So it will spread urbanization and, of course, jobs all over the country. And that's good for us.
Yeah, but Miss Sheila, you mentioned about this township concept. My question is, with the pandemic, it has changed the lifestyle of people, di ba? Before, like say for example, in the offices, we remove the barriers, di ba? Parang it has
Yes.
been like say in a lot of offices, especially the
Open layout.
startups, di ba? It's
Yeah.
open. Now
Yes,
you
like
have
a
to put a
lounge.
little
Now you have to go back
enclosure,
to the cubicle type, right?
put in a lot of cubicles. Before,
And
cubicles
the plastic
were
bars.
yung pasay na siya, di ba? But this time, it's back because you have to put enclosures. And also even in dining, halimbawa, di ba? Dining,
The
they used to
restaurants,
be
you have this plastic shield.
yes, so dati talagang the closer you are, the better. You know,
Yes.
where areas, you can
Social
mingle in
distancing
areas.
all the time.
So, is this, what is your sense of this changing lifestyle in the real estate business? Are you looking at new studies or innovations, in terms of maybe architecture or how townships are developed? Have you seen new studies maybe, or concepts on these changes, that will adapt to the new lifestyle, lalo na sa office din? I'm sure,
Yes.
during the pandemic, di ba, parang for you to, you don't have to touch the, the elevator buttons na.
Touchless,
But you have
yeah.
to, push something, or it's you have to use your feet to do that. What's your view, on these innovations that will happen in the property business or even architecture
Yes, yes.
business?
Well, there are already many things happening, and because of this, well, prior to pandemic, if you've heard before of green buildings, all the more that now people are appreciating green buildings, because when it's green, it means fresh air is coming, natural ventilation is happening, natural disinfection is happening. There's bright light, clean, and then sunlight is coming inside, which will kill all the bacteria and germs somehow. So that is being done now by many developers. They realize that they have to put more windows, more natural light inside, so that fresh air will really come in. And in terms of mixed use development, you will notice that there are a lot of open areas right now in new developed areas. It's not just all buildings left and right, and you can't already, see the light, right? Today it's different. It's like embracing the garden with the architectural design. So you see that more and more. We've seen that in the first world country. The Philippines is already conscious, and we know that we have to have that green element in place. And there are many buildings already in the Philippines that are green or LEED accredited. There is this certification recognized by the international body that the building is somehow healthy and has a conscience and value its people. So those buildings will have less sickly syndrome and so many sophisticated elements. And they are not just because of the pandemic, but it was really happening already in the past. Now it's being accelerated. And we realize that it's not just, copying what the first world countries are doing. It's really there for you to be healthy, right? It has to be like that because you want the properties to, of course, last, no? A building that will last, that will be enjoyed by how many generations down the road. So we are seeing that happening here in the Philippines already.
Now, having said that, Miss Sheila, what's your outlook for 2021 in general? And also, so that you can proceed responding. With the pandemic, I'm sure a lot of the business owners or building owners approached you also during the pandemic to ensure that there's continuity, being a thought leader and being, one of the primary movers in this business. They wanted to ensure that their properties will be more profitable. So, what's your outlook, and what are the services of the Lubian Realty Group that you can offer, to these clients?
Okay. So outlook right now, as I've said, no, we've experienced this crisis already for so long. We already know how to deal with it somehow, right? That's the good thing about it. People are not that scared and, not that compared to 5 months ago, wherein we don't really know so much about this virus and people are just so paranoid to go out and do the work. Today is so much different. Yes, we know that there's this crisis, but people are looking forward already to a better tomorrow. In fact, many economic managers, ADB, etc., several banks have already said that the Philippines is expected to post at least 6% level in growth next year, which is good. I want that to happen. And I feel that because in our activities on a daily basis, we deal a lot with so many clients already who are looking at the Philippines, foreigners who are willing to invest here in the country because they're saying that the growth is still there. There is potential. Other countries are somehow mature and declining, but here in the Philippines, there is so much room for growth. And they see that if they will invest here, the margins that they'll get over time is still more attractive compared to putting it in another mature market like in the US, Europe, wherever. So that's good news, not just for us in the real estate, but for the Filipinos in general, because of course, once they are here and they have invested, jobs will be created. So the office market, though right now it's not that healthy, but the BPO industry, the outsourcing industry are also forecasting growth. They're not stagnant. They're looking forward to 2021 and years to come. The IT industry, the technology part, healthcare, insurance, they are the industries that are growing because, people are using them heavily right now. And that's good. It will benefit us in the real estate market and the Philippine economy also. Now, the warehousing industry, I've already shared that with you. It's a bright spot. It's growing at a double-digit percentage, which is good news for everyone. E-commerce, everyone has a digital aspect now in their business. you don't really have to have a store right now. You can buy things online, Instagram, all the online shoppings, right? So there is economy there already. And then in the residential market, as I've shared, the residential market, they realize that you either have to be near your work so that you will shorten your commute and your exposure, right? So condo market will still be, of course, good, but people are looking at healthier areas to live in, wherein there is natural light, fresh air can come in, mixed use development, not just here in Metro Manila, but in the provincial areas. It's a way to pandemic proof operation. So when a pandemic happens, your operation in Manila is locked down. At least you can have your Cebu open or your Pampanga open, right? So there is this backup. And that's good because we want the Balik Probinsya urbanization to also happen. And the Build program also to fix the infrastructure here of the country, the internet, the telephones, the roads, flood-free area. We need all this to also improve the attractiveness of the Philippines as a country to invest in, because companies, when they look at the country, they look at the attractiveness aside from the talent, the people, the business environment, ease of doing business, and the infrastructure, as I've shared. So so many things there that we still have to, of course, work on. But somehow the economic backdrop of the Philippines is strong. We have good financial managers, BSPs report also. I've shared this in the past. They have increased the interest loan threshold to another 5%. So from 20 to 25. And that 5% is around 1.2 trillion peso that will be dedicated just in the real estate market. So imagine that money, when invested, people will have jobs, and there are so many opportunities for us also. And aside from that, the interest rate is quite low. So this is the best time also to take advantage of that. The government is helping us by giving low interest rates. So if you have a business, you can of course borrow money. The cost of money is cheaper compared to before. You can put that in the real estate market, or you can buy your dream house. And it's a best time, as I've shared, it's one of the best time now to invest because there are so many willing sellers, flexible sellers, so you can get something at a good deal, and cash is king. So despite the scenario, despite the pandemic, there is a brighter tomorrow, and I always look forward to that. And we can feel it because otherwise, we won't be busy, we won't be going out when there's nothing, when the market is not moving. Then we will just probably be at home. But today we're going out, we're looking at several sites. There is demand. It's just a matter of time, and the vaccine is around the corner. So there is hope. People are somehow in that na quite positive mode at the moment.
Now, Ms. Sheila, while we know that you have decades of experience as thought leader in the real estate business, the Lubian Realty Group is relatively new in the market, but you have created impact already with in your business. My question is, what are your tips to SMEs being an entrepreneur, especially after the many calamities that we have, from the eruption of Taal, now with the pandemic, and of course, like other entrepreneurs, like other SME owners, you keep paying for the rent, you keep paying the salaries of your employees, but lady CEO like you will never give up. So what are your practical tips to SMEs also who are watching Open for Business now?
Yeah. This is actually one of my favorite questions. Whenever you ask me this thing, I always think and then go back. And I think the answer there, really, I've always said this, no? If you love what you do and you enjoy it, then you'll always have that passion, and you'll never give up. You're the CEO, you're the leader, you're the owner of the business, so you always have to have that positive mindset, because your people will feel what you feel, and if you're down, then they will also lose hope, right? So you have to show them the direction. You have to guide them, and they will believe you, of course. And being there as the head of the company is not easy. Having your own business is not for the faint-hearted, right? I think people who survive this crisis, I would consider and congratulate all of them because they are very strong. And I think you will survive any crisis after this. This is the toughest, right? That I think we'll experience in our lifetime, unless it's the end of the world already. But this is a combination of health crisis and economic crisis. You have to balance both, which is not an easy task, right? You have to take care of your people at the same time, ensure that the business can still run on itself. So I'm grateful that we are hardworking. We have a lot of friends supporting us. We are blessed because that kept us during the lockdown, and then we're able to move up right away because during the lockdown, we still trained our people. We have to always improve, right? So when we can't go out, what we did that time is just to train the people. Us also, we went back, started to improve what we can improve. And then slowly, when the market opens up again, we're like ready. So you just have to be prepared. You have to be flexible all the time. You have to adapt because you don't know what's going to happen. It's always a changing environment. And as a leader, your role is to, I think, always be ready to adapt and be flexible and agile. It's going to be like this all the time, right? It's not going to be easy. But if you really are committed, then you'll do everything to thrive and to be successful.
Wow, that's interesting. So, also, Miss Sheila, I think we're running out of time, I mean, but your words are very inspiring. I just have one last question. A lot of CEOs, a lot of SMEs thought that the pandemic was a time, to reflect, a time for them to review their business plans because it's also a time for them to know if their business model is still the right business model to do.
Correct.
And they had to, pivot and make the necessary changes. In your case, Ms. Sheila, what has been, your greatest reflection, during the lockdown? Especially, you said you are home with your family so far. What is the, this reflection, during the pandemic on a personal point of view?
Well, like what you said, you have to really be flexible and to adapt. You can't do anything, right? But if you have that open mind and you're ready, you're prepared, you will be able to survive. And number one, of course, your people. When something like this, I think in any crisis, you'll think about your people first. So during that, it's your family, all of you, your people and their families, they have to be safe also. But of course, not neglecting the fact that the company also has to survive. So it's a balance of those two. That's why I said the leader's role during crisis is very critical and crucial because you are balancing so many things, the economic aspect, the health aspect. And if you're able to, balance both and survive, then I congratulate you. You are very strong. Those are the things I realize. And then everyone's back to basic, right? You realize that what's important is still the basic things in life. Your family, as long as they're healthy, they have food to eat every day, you're safe, you're not sick. You should be very, very grateful and you should be happy, right? As long as you're alive, you can always make money. So health is wealth. So that's the number one thing, right? If you're dead, how can you do anything else? So be grateful because this type of health crisis knows no, hierarchy. Whether you're rich or poor, you'll die if you get hit, right? So, but you just have to keep the faith, as I've said. So I think there's really no secret. You just have to be flexible, adapt. And if you're in the right business, you know the business well, you'll be able to navigate. You will, of course, adjust. And we're blessed because, as I've shared, the real estate market or the real estate is always part of the basic human needs, right? When I say food, shelter, education, the shelter there is part of the real estate market. So there's always something about it. It's part of the basic human needs. So I'm glad we are in this
Thank you, Miss
industry.
Sheila, for gracing Open for Business again. If there are businesses and individuals who want to reach you, where can they find you and Lobian Realty Group?
Yes. Well, you may give them our social media sites, Lobien Realty Group. You can contact us. I'm sure Open for Business can easily share those information. You can check us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and you can just Google Sheila Lobien. Contact me. Happy to answer any questions that you may have and help you with your properties or real estate concerns. We have a full team, so they can contact us anytime. 24/7.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sheila. She is the chairperson of the Women in Business Committee of the European Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines and the CEO of Lobian Realty Group.